Oh, I know. It's been a long time.
John Usel.
I
Joined the meeting.
have the statement of use for today, in case anybody wants them.
Joined the meeting.
Slides that I have, okay? And I have an extra copy of the statement of use.
You doing a presentation up there?
Yeah, I mean, I have it up there. If people wanna, I guess that's not connected anymore, huh?
I don't know.
I thought it was last week.
Yeah, we used it last week. Let me ask Alex. Alex, was a big screen TV?
Charles Menino.
Joined the meeting.
This is the statement of use that I found, you know.
Got the movie selections up.
Hi.
Hi, Charlie.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
I understand Kenny's.
He was under the water.
Yeah. It's just as that.
Oh.
Huh?
I'm getting tangled up.
Mark.
Joined the meeting.
Just this, you know, I do have a shirt and tie, but I put it on at night. It's in her.
Good?
Just here in my shorts or whatever. We will keep from here on. Yeah. But I did, I hope we have four.
Yeah.
I did have a night where I had.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger, Chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, and the special meeting of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby called to order. Protocol for this afternoon's meeting was previously reviewed by Corporation Counsel, who indicated to me that it is compliant with the executive orders issued by the governor and fair for those attending in person or watching from a remote location. Just a reminder that all commissioners and staff attending today's meeting in person and others in the auditorium need to wear masks that cover the nose and mouth throughout the meeting, even when speaking. Your cooperation is very much appreciated. Would everyone present in the auditorium please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite all who are participating remotely to do the same. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I'll start with our roll call. When your name is called, please verbally indicate you are present, and I'll begin with those who are participating remotely. Commissioner Parkins?
Present.
Commissioner Radomski?
Present.
Commissioner Ticky? He
sent a text a little while ago that he's not going to be able to make it.
Oh, he changed. Okay, because I was informed that he would only be able to be here till 5. So, all right. Alternate Commissioner Laskos.
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Usel.
Present.
Mr. Panico, our consultant.
Present.
And for those who are in the auditorium, Commissioner Kelly,
Present.
Commissioner Amato, Mr. Rossetti, our administrator, Mrs. Vernazos, our recording secretary.
Here.
And, Mrs. Charbonneau, our stenographer.
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. And myself, Commissioner Harger. A couple points before continuing with this afternoon's agenda. This is the Commission's 26th meeting being done via a live streaming process. Commissioners participating in person and remotely will be able to make comments throughout the meeting so that we are not all talking across each other, and our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. Commissioners are asked to please say Madam Chair and then your name. As soon as the chair recognizes you, you are free to speak. Please be aware that you may hear an echo. Commissioners participating remotely are asked to be aware, every member, that microphones on computers will pick up ambient sounds which will be heard in the auditorium throughout the PA system, including movement of papers, phones ringing, and conversations of others in the room. So if at all possible and you have the ability to do so, please mute the audio on the computer. And I just want to have it on the record that Commissioner Usel, I am seating you in place of Commissioner Tickey.
Sounds good.
Okay? Our first agenda item is new business, but I want to take a moment just to jump to agenda item 5B, initiation of application 20-22, Riverview Park Royal, 123 Canal Street, Assessors Map 130, parcels 3, 4, and 5, a petition for a special exception in a riverfront district zone for a 5-story mixed-use building with 13,500 square feet of retail, 80 residential units, and 183 parking spaces on 1.68 acres. Reason that I am taking that out of order is because we have earlier this afternoon received an email from the applicant, which to Mr. Rossetti, our administrator, which reads, "This email shall serve as notice that we are not prepared to move forward with the hearing on the Riverview Park Royal Building, 123 Canal Street. Please withdraw until further notice. Thank you, John Getz, President of Primrose Companies in Bridgeport." So is there a motion to accept the withdrawal? Motion to accept withdrawal by Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
Commissioner
Second
Parkins,
from
second.
Commissioner. Okay, and then on a roll call vote, Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato, Commissioner Usel,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion to accept the withdrawal is been passed 6-0. So we'll return to the order of what was on the agenda next. So the first item under new business is application 2101, Dominic Thomas for Gary Line at 710 Bridgeport Avenue, Assessor Map 29, Lot 9, for site plan approval for a pre-existing non-conforming use in an OPD zone on 36.1 acres. Is there a motion to accept this for review? Motion to accept for review from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Usal. I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Usal has seconded. And on a roll call vote on the motion to accept for review, Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato, Commissioner Radomski,
Aye.
Commissioner Usel,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion to accept for review is passed 6-0. Is the applicant ready?
Yes, sure, yes, Chairman, Attorney Dominic Thomas, Colin Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant, Gary Plastic Packaging Corporation. They are a tenant for 710 Bridgeport Avenue, and it is their intent to occupy the 207 square feet in the property that remains, other than Perk and Elmer, which is where they're located. This use of manufacturing and warehouse,
Go ahead, never mind.
this use that is being proposed, which is manufacturing, warehousing, office, and R&D, is a long existing use on the site. I can speak only for 2 weeks in the summer of '71 when I worked for Phillips Medical, this is the Phillips Medical site. I worked as a temp, waiting for active duty orders, and that is what was on the site at that time, office, manufacturing, R&D, and warehouse. And for the 50 years or so since that time, that's what has been on the site. There's a variety of tenants that included, obviously, Perk and Elmer, Pantalone, Atrium Windows and Doors, and other smaller entities that came onto the site. The property was zoned IA3 in 1999. It was changed to Office Park District, which made the manufacturing, warehousing, and some R&D uses pre-existing legal non-conforming uses. It is our client's intent to lease the remaining square footage of this 499,600 square foot building that has been on the site for all those years. As you can see, I passed out extra copies of the statement of use which I filed with the application. Richard Hellinger, the president, is here. Hopefully, Brian Cleveland, the engineer, architect, is on the phone.
I am.
Okay.
This is Brian Cleveland. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm not going to repeat what I put in the statement of use. You have a very detailed thing. The one thing I would like to point out is we have an abundance. This is one of those properties dating back to the point where we have an absolute abundance of parking on the site to accommodate this use. So I do have, just to orient the commissioners, I do have on the screen, as you can see, I just have an aerial, a Google aerial to orient us before we get to the site plan to show you the site at 710 Bridgeport Avenue, the size of the building, the board is Route 8. And I have a close-up, and the reason I have the close-up, for those of you that are in here, and it's on the site plan also, this application is similar to what you would face if you were just getting a new tenant, for instance, the corporate office place. All this is a new tenant taking over space that's been used for that. However, we have to file a site plan, and the reason we file the site plan is because my client is putting a couple of items on the outside of the building. In this aerial photo that I have for you, you'll notice what Perk and Elmer, and what we're doing is similar, what Perk and Elmer has outside the building, which are 2 silos and an equipment storage area that they have, and they did obviously some years ago. What you have is an overall site plan that was submitted, and in that area there is the area where it's located. You see the box, which will be blown up on the next thing. So it is basically generally in the back of the building that faces Route 8. And here is a close-up of the site of what we're doing with a profile of the buildings. And one thing I do want to point out is that my client has chosen to put the silos in such a way to use 3 of them, which means none of them will stick up over the building. If you've ever been out to the site, the 2 silos for Perk and Elmer stick slightly over the roof line, whereas these will not stick over the roof line. And there is, as you can see, and as it states in the statement of use, as to what we're putting in there, there are 3 materials, storage tanks, an equipment container, and 2 cooling towers and there are elevations of the, material sort of things on page 2 of the site plan. And they will go in the back. Finally, just to give you a generic, because this is obviously an existing building, we have a generic floor plan that we submitted just to show you the location and the reference to Perkin-Elmer. Perkin-Elmer's on this side, and Perkin-Elmer obviously uses the second and third floor, and they will use the remainder of the building, which is, we'll have access to all the bays, the truck bays and distribution centers on this side. Perkin-Elmer has its own distribution and truck loading docks on the other side. So, with that, I'm here to answer any questions. If you have any questions about the pre-existing legal non-conforming use status, Mr. Cleveland is on the phone, and can answer any questions you have on the site plan, and any questions on the statement of use or the floor plans. President of the company, Richard Hellinger, is present here. So thank you for allowing us to present.
Okay. There are, I think, a number of things that are positives in this particular application. Let me start again. There were a number, because my mic wasn't on, there's a number of things that I think are positive about this particular application. There's no change in the building footprint, and the only modification is the installation of those couple of silos. I am very familiar with this particular building because I worked in it for 5 years, and I have been all over, from the third floor executive area to the second floor where marketing and communications was, and downstairs R&D, and I was out in the crate shop in the warehouse area, and there are large indoor loading docks, interior loading docks, that at one time even UPS used as a sorting facility. So when it was just before 5 o'clock and we were ready to leave, a lot of times I would have to run down there and get a UPS package to the drivers, and I was quite surprised at the fact that they were using it, but at the time they had, this is a good facility for them to do sorting. And so that those interior loading docks accommodated huge tractor trailers, and there was never a question as to was there going to be a problem with vehicles accessing the particular building or not. There are 2 driveways. There is that signalized driveway, and then there's also one that's a couple of feet up the street, down southerly, towards right across from the Plaza Diner entrance, and I think those are the ones that a lot of times were used to access the area down around the back. The parking there is more than sufficient for use for all the tenants in that particular building, and the fact that there had been a number of tenants before in that building, one of which was Timex. When the building originally was built in '78, I was thinking to myself, there was somebody else there besides Phillips, and when I checked online, lo and behold, it did document that Timex did use a portion of the building. So what I suppose is going back to what the building was originally leased out for, 2 tenants, and it conforms to the original use, this particular proposal. This new use would have been allowed under the original zoning, and to tell you the truth, this is less non-conforming, as far as I'm concerned, than when there were several occupants in the building that have occupied the building over the years. So I think that this is a very good use of this particular building. It's what we've looked for, why we held out for and did not approve a proposal for residential on this particular site. So I think that the use of it is very appropriate. So I'll turn that over to other members of the commission for their comments. Commissioner Kelly?
Yeah, I just have one comment.
What's your button? Got to be up. Okay.
Okay. I'm happy to see that the building is going to be used for what it was built to be used for, and what it was known to be used for. As you had mentioned, we had other projects coming, and we did hold off because we said manufacturing or production is not dead on Route 8, on Fort Avenue. And that's the only comment I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Amato, before I turn it over to, people participating remotely, do you have any comments?
Could you share with us a little bit about the business, the employees, that we can go have on the community?
Yeah, I have, I will turn it over, I'll have, John Jeff, if you look at, paragraph F, statement of use, subparagraph, 3F, under proposed use, I have a breakdown of the shifts. Obviously, as I often say when I'm up there, statement of uses, the desire of every business that's before you is that they will have more employees because that means they are more successful. And with that, I'll turn it over to the president, Richard Helen.
Mr. Hellinger, just spell your last name for our secretary, please.
Hellinger, Hellinger.
Give your
Personal address?
No, just your business address.
My business address is 1340 Ely Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10474. My business, Gary Plastic Packaging, Gary Line, is a division. We are in the manufacturing of promotional products, along with plastic packaging, but over the years, our business has evolved, and 85% of our business at this point is promotional products. We are an injection molder, blow molder, water bottles, drinkware, we print company logos, among other products as well. But that's 50% of our business is in the drinkware industry. We do the molding on a 24-hour schedule, 3 shifts, and then we decorate them on demand for company logos and promotional events we do. We presently employ 300 people in the Bronx, and my goal is to move that operation here to Shelton, Connecticut. 210, 211 people would be on the first shift, working anywhere from 7 in the morning to generally the shift changes at 4 o'clock or 4:30, depending on the start time. And then the second shift, which is scaled back, maybe 50 people, and then the third shift, which is scaled slightly back to there, with 40 people. And then starting
Mm-hmm.
We have maybe 30 to 40 people in our office on the first shift, and then the rest of the production will be production employees in the factory, ranging anywhere from machine operators to packers to technicians, shipping and receiving, mechanics, setup operators, tool makers, fix our dies. We're a fully integrated company. We make everything ourselves. We make our own tooling, we fix our own equipment, and manufacture our own products. We're one of the few people in this industry that is USA made in America. Many of the products that you see are imported and decorated and printed within the United States, but we make work to the full gamut.
Perfect.
Are your people coming up from the Bronx?
I speculate that there'll be about 30 people that will move with me, and the rest will be all new hires from the local area.
Very good. Anything else from Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Amato?
No.
Okay, I'll open it up to the commissioners participating remotely. Commissioner Parkins?
I also agree that this is a good use, and we welcome such businesses to our community. I do have a few curious questions, things that I'm curious about. What is the height of the cooling tower, and what is its purpose?
The cooling towers or the cooling towers, if you look at page 2 of the site plan, the cooling towers are for the air conditioning, I think they're only about 7, 8 feet high. Maybe Brian Cleveland can answer that question. You're not talking about the material silos, right? Commissioner
No, I
Parkins?
have a separate question about those.
Right. So
Okay, so
I can comment on they're called thermal care cooling towers. The equipment itself is about 10 feet tall with the motor sticking above the top of it. The base varies, but it's about 5 feet tall, and it sits about 7'6" in footprint square. And actually, Mr. Hallinger probably can speak better about what the actual use of it is, but I believe it's to cool the molds for the injection molded plastic.
Okay, Brian, would you please identify yourself and your address for the record, please?
Certainly. Brian Cleveland with Silver Petrocelli and Associates. Do you want my work address or my home address?
Work is fine.
We're at 3190 Whitney Avenue, Hamden, Connecticut.
Okay, very good. So Mr. Hellinger, do you have some supplementary information?
No, Brian was correct. The cooling towers are a closed loop water system that circulates through the plant and into the machines, the cooling machines, and the molds in order to manufacture our products. So when the plastic gets injected into the molds are cooled by the water and allows the plastic to set up. And it's a closed loop system. It just goes into a tank and then goes through the towers to chill itself and then back into the tank.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Parkins, is that sufficient for your question on that particular topic?
So from what I gathered, it's about 22 foot total, the cooling tower with all its components?
Cooling towers are approximately 10 to 11 feet tall.
But they're on a base of 5 feet?
The base is about 5 feet and the tower is about 6 feet.
So the 10 feet is
10
total?
feet is total.
Okay.
All right, so it's 11 total. All right, I was confused on that. I thought they were separate components. Okay, so it's just a water cooling tower. No big deal. The existing storage tanks that are shown in your drawing, your site plan, to the left of the building in the back, are those existing storage tanks that you'll be utilizing, or are they for PerkinElmer?
I believe the existing storage tanks are PerkinElmer's. Talking about on the first, on the first page of the site plan, the overall site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, the overall plan, the existing storage of PerkinElmer's 2 tanks. They have 2 tanks, which are substantially higher than the tanks. Those stick up above the roof line.
But the client's proposed tanks are less high than. Okay. Other question I have is on the where the trucks are located, the loading dock. There is a maintenance easement feeds into the property next door, the apartment complex. Do you know, is that gated or is that an open like roadway?
I know it very well since I did. That's the emergency access easement. I did it when the Mark was going through zoning. That is a gated emergency access easement with, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, aluminum ionized gate that is remote controlled by the emergency services.
Okay. And so, sticking on with the loading docks, are trucks coming in and out of this complex 24/7 as well, since your operations are 24/7?
No, the shipping window is set about 7 a.m. to 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay, so there's no overnight vehicles running or anything like that at the loading docks?
No, there's no overnight vehicles.
Okay. I think those were the only, where is the designated employee parking? Thinking of the safety of your employees, especially the night shift, where are your employees going to be dedicated for parking?
Hello, this is Fran.
If you look at, I don't know, you can't see the plan, if you look at the, overall site plan, the
Yep.
parking for this tenant will be in the lower lot. And there is also parking, there is 20-some odd spaces in the elbow, I guess is the best way to put it, of the building, that are reserved for that tenant. And there's an abundance of parking, abundance of parking down below.
Oh,
And a
sure.
sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the quantity of parking. There is more than enough parking there. That's not my concern. You said the lower lot, so that would be, right under the little box that says lot area equals 5,722,515 square feet. So they go up that stairway to the main entrance?
There's some parking right above that, and there's some parking right below, and then the big parking lot below. I'm not sure, I believe there's 20-some odd spaces in the elbow, and there is, obviously the abundance of spaces below, and then there's a sidewalk that goes from that lower lot up to the south side of the building.
Attorney Thomas, just for the benefit of those that are here in the auditorium, could you use the cursor on the?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's.
No,
He's over there?
You just do something.
Use the mouse.
Cursor, I got you.
Okay. So just go through those locations again.
Okay, there's parking, here in the elbow,
Mm-hmm.
about 20-some odd spaces.
That's in the bathroom building.
Employee parking will be down here,
Yeah.
along this area, and there is a sidewalk that takes you up to that side of the building.
Mm-hmm. And the orientation on that, is Bridgeport Avenue is up at the top,
Bridgeport Avenue is at the bottom.
the bottom. Oh, okay, got it now.
That's Route 8 at the top.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
Commissioner Parkin, anything else?
Nope, those are the only questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Usel? Do you have any questions?
No questions at this time. I do think this is an appropriate use of the building, so that's all I have to say.
Very good. Commissioner Wodanski?
I don't have any questions at this time, but I just want to make a comment that I think it's refreshing to see a application come in that conforms with the plan of conservation and development, and whether it be a office space or what we see here today, industrial manufacturing on Bridgeport Avenue instead of residential.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other commissioners have any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay,
Madam Chairman, before you call the vote, I'd like to just make a few brief comments.
sure, Mayor Loretti?
Some of you may recall a few years back that the comments were made at a zoning meeting that the LIP is dead in Connecticut, and I just want to refresh everyone's memory about that and to tell you that this is yet another example of that why we shouldn't prejudge and why we should think very hard and long about the planning of what goes on, particularly on Bridgeport Avenue. You know, this is yet one of a few others to come before you that you're not aware of at this point, but I am and have been working with over the last 10 months. And, you know, people talk about diversity and they define it in terms of people. And I try to explain to people that diversity comes in many different factions. And so when your economic base is diverse and your employee base is diverse, and when your corporate base is diverse, then you create an awful lot of economic stability in an area. And that's what we've tried to do over the years here in Shelton. We've been probably more successful than almost anyone in the state of Connecticut to do that. And I think that, you know, as we move forward, that we have to evaluate and have a little more dialogue, and perhaps maybe some of that dialogue should come from me, because I deal with this stuff on a regular basis, and I do really has been on overtime for about 10 years now, and sometimes it's very hard to understand all the intricacies that go on in the downtown areas, some of the trends that change, that shift the dynamics of the economy and how we in America work and do business, particularly more so now after this pandemic, we're starting to see a lot of changes. The last comment that I want to make is one with respect to the parking. It was mentioned earlier that there's an abundance of parking on the site, and yes, there is. But it's my feeling, it's just my feeling that these two companies that house this site are going to continue to grow and continue to do very well based on what I know. And I think that this parking should be included as part of their parking for future growth. Because, if you don't have the infrastructure and the facilities to allow these companies to grow, then they go other places. And I think that this company in particular is going to find that the affordability of this location is so much greater than where they're coming from that they're going to have the financial wherewithal to be able to expand and to grow. And I'm going to encourage that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor Loretti. Alex, you have something?
Yeah, the motion if you're ready.
Yeah. All right, unless any commissioners have any other comments, questions, or concerns, or the applicant has anything further? Thank you. Does any commissioner wish to make a motion to approve or deny application 2101? Commissioner Kelly is making a motion to approve application 2101. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Parkins,
Second from Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Amato jumped in. Commissioner Parkins, sorry. So we have a resolution, I believe, from
there's a motion for the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the site plan modification for application 2101 of the Planning and Zoning Commission for a pre-existing non-conforming use with the addition of a few silos on plans entitled Gary Line Plastic Packaging Corporation, prepared by Silver Petrocelli and Associates, dated January 15, 2021.
That's it? Okay. All right, so on the motion to approve, as Mr. Rossetti read, I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato? Aye. Commissioner Wodomski?
Aye.
Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion to approve is passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you very much, everybody. I would just ask that if the possible of the appeal period to commence very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Welcome to Shelton. Okay, next on the agenda is public hearings, and before we get into it, I just want to go over the protocol quickly. The applicant will present its proposal, and during and after the presentation, the commission will have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, which can be answered at the time or after the presentation. After the presentation has been completed, and after the commission has finished taking questions, members of the public will be invited to address the commission about the proposal. Members of the public addressing the commission during today's public hearing need to be mindful of the following. First of all, you need to sign up. There's a sign-up sheet that is here on the front table. Podium. Okay. And this is to assist the recording secretary and stenographer when doing the minutes and transcripts of the public hearing. All comments and questions are to be directed to the commission chair and only to the commission chair, not the applicant and or his associates. No dialogue is permitted between the public and the applicant or any of the applicant's associates. All comments from the public should address specific criteria of the zoning regulations and the merits of the application. All comments from the public should be new information and not a repeat of comments previously presented. Unless a member of the public has new comments or questions of the chair, members of the public who wish to address the commission are asked to briefly indicate whether or not they are in agreement with the previous speaker and not repeat the same testimony.
Join the meeting.
Members of the public are expected to practice appropriate etiquette by being quiet, observant, and respectful. Disruptive attendees may be asked to leave. After all members of the public who are in attendance today finish addressing the commission, the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to public comments or questions. After the applicant and/or his associates have concluded the presentation, they've answered all questions, they've addressed all concerns from the commission and/or public, and if no further information is needed by the commission, the chair will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. If the commission feels further information is needed, the chair will ask for a motion to keep the public hearing open. At a future meeting of the commission, after each public hearing has closed, the commission will discuss the specific application, and the chair will pose the commission for a consensus on how to proceed. And a reminder to the commission that once a public hearing has opened and until it is closed, commissioners are not permitted to make any public comment, discuss any part of the applicant's presentation, or receive additional information from anyone. So we'll begin with public hearing for application 20-27, Vista Apartments 2, 1039 Howe Avenue, Assessors Map 146, Map 20, for a special exception in the Ca3 Zone for Phase 2 of the Vista Apartments, 28 residential units with 57 parking spaces on 1.93 acres. Will Secretary Motto please read the legal notice?
Okay. Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Shelton, Connecticut hereby gives the notice of a public hearing to be held on Wednesday, January 27th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. in the Shelton City Hall Auditorium, 64 Hill Street, to consider the following projects. Application 20-27, Vista Apartments 2. Vista Apartments LLC at 1039 Howe Avenue, Assessors Map 146, Map 20, for a special exception in Ca3 Zone for Phase 2 of the Vista Apartments for 28 residents with 57 parking spaces on 1.93 acres. That area is generally bounded as follows: northerly by 11 Main Road, easterly by 10 Central Railroad and Housatonic River, southerly by 1029 Howe Avenue, westerly by Connecticut Route 110. Plans are titled Vista Apartments Phase 2, prepared by James R. Swift and dated November 16, 2020, with no revisions.
Thank you. Commissioner Motto, is the applicant ready?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Attorney Bellis.
Thank you, Mr. Harger. I don't know if this microphone is on or not.
Seems to be.
Seems to be, okay. So I'm just going to give a little bit of background real quick, and then I'll take you through the application. As you may recall, this piece of property has a little bit of a tortured history. When Vista Apartments purchased the property, the lawyer stole Mr. Blakeman's funds, didn't pay his client or pay off the mortgage on the property. So I had to work with the FBI, and we got the attorney arrested, and he's currently in jail. I then worked with the title insurance company to clear the title because he didn't pay off the money that he should have in a regular sale. That was done. It took a little while, but we got it done, so the property is free and clear. We then made an application first by doing what we, as you may remember, a change of the zone, and we changed the zone to a Ca3 zone. That was approved by this commission. And after the approval of the zone change, we had already the 14 apartments at 1039 Avenue built. They're up. We were coming into the Phase 2, and at that time there was a question by the commission as to whether the special exception, Regulations 33, apply for a commercial zone, were they different than what applies for a residential zone. So in order to clarify that, and to make things clearer for everybody, not just this applicant, I did a text amendment, and you guys amended the zoning regulations and clarified that section 33, so that there's some regulations that apply for commercial zones, and there are other regulations that apply for residential zones. So that was done, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to today. So today's application is very straightforward. It's a special exception, and as you all know, the Planning and Zoning Commission acts in an administrative capacity when hearing a special exception as opposed to like a legislative capacity. And when you're acting in an administrative capacity, the Planning and Zoning's function is to determine two things. One is the use permitted under our zoning regulation, in this case Ca3, and second are the standards in the regulations and the special exception satisfied. So that's what I'm going to walk you through. I should also add that under a special exception, the Commission has the right to impose conditions if they feel it's necessary to protect the public health and safety. So basically, the special permit application, as long as we meet the existing regulations, it should be approved. That's the standard. So let's look at it. I don't think it's too complicated, but I'm going to go quickly through it. First, is the use permitted under a Ca3 zone? So if you look at Schedule A, under paragraph 2A, multifamily uses are permitted, subject to standards in Schedule B. So then we look at Schedule B, so at least we know that it's permitted. Under Schedule B of the zoning regulations, if you look at Ca3, you're allowed to have these multifamilies, and in order to determine how many number of units you get, you take the area, which is 83,975. For 1 bedroom, you divide by 2,400. You're allowed to get 35 by zoning rights. We are not applying for 35. We are applying for 27 1-bedrooms and 1 2-bedroom. That's 28. So we're below the level we get. Jim Swift has put all the setbacks that we need, water area, all the other requirements of the zoning regulations are met. So the good part is that under our zoning regulations, we meet the application. The application meets the zoning use. So the next thing you all have to consider are the considerations that are set forth in the special exception procedures, which is 33.4. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll walk you through those 7, and that should do it. So the first one is the size and intensity of the proposed use. So let me start by saying I put up on the screen, and I submitted the exhibits online. So you should all have them, whether you're here or at home, and you can look at them, and I'll try to roll them. I already gave Alex the notices that were sent certified mail to all the people within 200. I also are showing you now on the screen that we posted a notice on the existing house that's on the property, which will be knocked down, obviously, for this project. Okay, so I've included the statement of use. It's pretty clear cut, and it basically is telling you that what I just explained, that we're going to be putting up 28 units, that we were going to have additional parking exceeding 2 spaces per unit, and that I'll get into the other aspects about traffic and all that in a little bit. So let's see, why don't we look at the site plan? Okay. So I put up on the screen, and for all you at home, you can scroll down to the site plan. I just want to go over this a little bit with you so you get a familiarity. I also have Pat Rose, who'll explain the architecture, and we have Jim Swift, the engineer, who can go into any kind of detail that you may need for the engineering aspect. I think he's enjoying himself in Florida, but he should be on Zoom listening to me. So what we have is the existing apartments. Those are built. You've all driven by before, and there's 14 units in there. If you can see, there's a driveway that currently exists that goes out onto Powell Avenue or Route 110, and that driveway will be utilized for the Phase 2 as well. So there'll be one cut there, and that's where the people that use it currently and for the new proposed apartment building. In the dark shaded gray, shades of gray, I never read this one. That's what the proposed apartment building is going to look like, as well as the parking area. So you would come in, you would see you would have additional parking spaces, which are either 57 or 58. Can't get a straight answer out of Jim Swift, but it's one of those, along with the 28 units that are inside the apartment building. There is a fire emergency exit that is only for fire trucks, ambulances, and police, not for the general population of people living there. That would be used as another alternative egress onto Route 110. There's already existing right in the project water and sewer. I'll go over that with you in a little bit. But that's the overall use of the site. The second effect we have to address is factor number 2. How does this affect have on the plan of conservation and development? Well, I think as you all know, the plan of conservation and development is looking for some diversity in housing. They want some alternatives to single-family homes, and that's found in Section 4-31. And it states that they encourage multifamily development, especially near downtown, but they would like a higher concentration of residents to support the downtown businesses. This property is on 1039 Powell Avenue. It is not literally downtown, but I don't know, I'd say it's about a mile away. So it's close to the downtown property. So I think that this project is in conformance with the plan of conservation and development. The next factor you have to look at is the capacity of the feeder streets to accommodate peak traffic loads and whether there's any hazardous safety conditions. I've given you all a traffic study. You can find it in your document. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will tell you that the traffic engineer in this case found that the 28 units will generate 10 trips during the weekday morning peak hour and 12 trips during the weekday afternoon peak hour. But if you combine it with the 14 apartments that are there, he increases it to 15 trips for all of them in the morning and 18 trips in the afternoon. And his conclusion is that the Phase 2 development will generate a limited amount of peak hour traffic, and this traffic will be adequately and safely accommodated by Route 110. And that makes pretty much sense. Route 110 is a pretty big road, not that many cars coming in and out of this complex. As you all know from traffic studies, they give you the times for the peak hours, because that's when the most cars come. And is that in my opinion, I think satisfy your requirements as far as the road handling this additional traffic. The next concern is number 4 in your regulation, the effect on property values and I guess also the taxable values for the town. So just as a quick, it's an approximation. I took the 14 units that are existing and what their taxes are, and I doubled it to get 28, if that's what's proposed. It would be $42,000 per year of tax revenue to the City of Shelton. And I provided in your package a letter from Terry and Guerrera, who I think you're familiar with, realtors in town for a very long time. They looked at the property, and it was their opinion that there would be no adverse effect on property values in the neighborhood. And that pretty much makes sense. You go up to 1039 Howe Avenue, that house now is a dilapidated eyesore. It'll get knocked down, and you're going to have a beautiful building that's going to be very similar to the one that's built there now. So I think that will have, I don't think that will have any negative effects on the property values. There are condo styles across the street, and kind of blends in very well, so I don't think there'll be an issue with that. It's not like a gas station or something that might have an impact on the value. So the next item that you must consider, the number, location of off-street parking and access to the lot. So, as I said a little bit earlier, we have 58, I think, parking spaces in addition to what's already there. Now, the parking that's already there works very well. There hasn't been any issues. So those people seem to be having no issues with the number of spaces that they have for the existing apartments. In fact, they may even have a little extra room, but neither here nor there. So what we've provided, though, is even though these are one bedrooms, and there's only one two-bedroom, we provided 2 parking spaces per unit. So that gets you to the 2 times 28 would be 56, and as I said, we have a little bit more, 57 or 58. As far as the vehicular access, as I said, they'll be using the same lot, the same access points that are currently there right now. And I just should point out for Tony Panico to understand that we are going to if this were to be approved, we would be merging these 2 parcels so that it would be one parcel because they're both owned by the same owner of Vista Apartments LLC. But I don't want to have the situation where you have 2 separate parcels when they're sharing a driveway. So we would be merging, we'd be filing a map, and that could perhaps be the condition of approval, Tony, that we merge those into one which, of course, we're going to do. The next item that you need to consider are fire and police protection. We took this application to the fire marshal, Chick Tatora, who unfortunately I believe has COVID, but he was able to tell us that he approved of the layout. He does not want a gate. He doesn't want that accessway, the emergency accessway, gated. He wants it left open. But he will send Alex a report when he feels better. He sent you a text or something.
Yeah, I sent me an email.
Sent you a text, okay. So, police protection, I don't know what that really means in this case. It's an apartment building, and we have adequate, the police department's not far away, and I don't really see this as posing a problem.
What about security cameras? Are they existing in the first building?
Yes, the first building has security cameras already installed, and I assume the second building will have the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Water supply, sewage, and drainage. Okay. So water, let me get to the fact that first we took the project, we got inland wetlands approval, and John Cook has given us the permit. My glasses are fine. That was the permit. Okay. 1906 is the permit that was approved for this project. They also looked at the stormwater drainage. That was also approved. I took the application to the WPCA a couple months ago. The Water Pollution Control Authority had 2 hearings. They gave it to their engineer consultant to determine whether there was adequate capacity and whether it would work. We had, they voted unanimously on the 13th of January to approve the project, and I put that, the minutes of that meeting in your package. So just that, so that you know, the sewage, I'm not going to get into too much of the flows, but basically the two buildings will be having a shared tank where the sewage goes into, and then it gets into a force main, and then goes out onto Route 110 to an existing line. So there's not going to be any construction. It's already on the site. There's not going to be any construction. I meant 110. That's what I meant. They'll just be adding a gravity line from the new apartment to the existing tank, and it'll just flow into the system that's there. The existing apartment already has a generator, and I think Mr. Blakeman explained to me that he would probably be getting a second generator for this new proposed apartment. And the generator is in case the power gets cut off, and in order to have your force main system work, you need electricity. So it's like it's just a backup system.
Mm-hmm.
So, last thing I'd like to point out is, and then I'll turn it over to the other expert. The city engineer went in with a letter. Unfortunately, we didn't get the letter until yesterday, but I was able to give it to Jim Swift, the engineer, and he did give a response to the engineer's question. It's not unusual, just as you probably all know. The engineers usually talk their language between themselves. I understand a little bit of it, but I did biomedical engineering, so kind of engineering I come to. But basically, I want to just give, I don't want to turn my back, but I want to get.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to just give the commission Jim Swift's response, and I would suggest that the engineers will be able to work it out. I'm not going to read you Jim Swift's response there, but he and the engineer, they're going to see eye to eye on most of these little things, like the north arrow wasn't pointing north. So if I could get that.
Attorney Bellis, I would appreciate if you could read the city engineer's letter into the record.
You would like me to? Okay.
Yes.
So the city engineer, hold on a second. So first, we have a letter from the city engineer, and then there's the response that I handed to Alex. So the city engineer says he reviewed the plans and offers the following comments. The topo survey map was not signed or sealed. 2, the site plan has 2 north arrows indicating north in divergent directions. The retaining wall requires site-specific design. It didn't show any grading. It didn't show any grading or clearing. There was no fence shown along the top of the retaining wall. Has a pump station located on adjacent property been sized to handle additional flow. You may have not known that I wanted to say. Easements not shown for sewer lateral. I'll just respond to that. We're not going to need an easement, as I said, because we're going to merge properties, so it's not going to be any easement. It's going to be one property owner. Soil and erosion plan elevation, a basin that had a wrong dimension on it. Encroachment permit to be obtained from Connecticut DOT for the emergency access drive. Yeah, that's something that if it needs to be done, we go to the state. It's not for them to handle it. Any additional erosion control measures? He would like more than 1 row of filter fabric. I'm sure Jim Sabella is fine. Space is limited for storage of snow. He wants a little more detail on that. He said the correct address of the site is 1039 Howe Avenue. I don't know, one of the sheets it mentioned 1030. Site data for phase 2 indicates 57 parking spaces provided, when in fact 58, when in fact there are 58. That was the same confusion I had. So there are 58. Detail of the pipe head wall construction is missing. I'm sure Jim Swift can get him that. And what is proposed mentioned for the emergency entrance? Those are his questions.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of it's housekeeping.
A lot of questions?
A lot of this seems to be housekeeping
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. And then Jim Swift responded. You need me to read that or no?
I have it
I
here.
just put it in the record.
I'll read it into the record. Let me have it.
Generally, as I said,
I'm gonna, Attorney Bellis, I'll just quickly read this into the record. This is dated January 27th. Dear Mr. Rossetti, in response to City Engineer Remus Ballas' review, I have the following comments. Survey will be submitted with the appropriate certifications. The two north arrows are for different uses. One relates to the vicinity map and one relates to the main site plan. The clearing limits are shown on the soil erosion control plan as approved by the Wetlands Commission. 4-foot fence will be added to the top of the retaining wall. Pump station is a low-velocity system with a calculated adequate capacity. Presentation has been made to the WPCA. 2 parcels are in the same ownership and cross easements are not necessary. The typo will be corrected. Conduct encroachment permit requirement is acknowledged. An additional erosion control will be added. Snow plowing will take place from north to south and south to north, avoiding any conflict with the guardrail or the guide rail. 2 other typos will be corrected. There is pipe discharge into an existing head wall is superfluous. Additional information about the existing conditions at the discharge will be provided. The curb cut dimension of 14 feet is shown on sheet 1.
Thank you.
Okay.
So with that, I'm running out of breath. I'm going to let Pat Rose walk you through the architecture a little bit of the building itself. And then if there's any technical questions, as I said, I have Jim Swift.
He sent this today, but I didn't get it.
On Zoom. So go ahead, Pat. Good afternoon, Patrick Rose from Rose Diesel Company, 35 Elmwood Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut. Just like to quickly orient you, Steve's done most of this already, so really quick. Access to the site, just between Housatonic River and Howe Avenue, are 2 existing driveways that go around the existing 14-unit apartment building. Brings us to this larger parking field, which has 58 parking spaces in it. I counted them, 58. And what it does is it comes down and there's a turnaround island in the middle here. There's a turnaround, so you come back out. The way the building works is that this side that faces the river, you have an entrance onto the lower level, and then the side that faces is 3-story tall, enters the sidewalk from the side parking lot, brings you what we've done for parking obviously is a little bit in excess of 2 per unit. Also create outlook. We're going to thin out the trees on the top of this plateau here and create a little outlook where we can have fire pits, grills, and thin out some of the trees out to this time.
Excuse me, Mr. Rose, just a second. People that are listening in remotely, please make sure you're on mute because we're getting a lot of paper rustling that we can hear. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Rose.
Right. So that was what we're going to do in the back here. What we talked about doing for snow plowing is that we've got a small island here that we can plow to, but the majority of the snow plow is going to end up towards this back area along here. That'll be a coordination with people moving Yeah, like we talked about this grass area, which will have some pavers, fire pit, will have some grills, and the potential for a dog walking area. This, right here, there's a dumpster enclosure, that is easily accessed by a truck coming in, front load, back up, turn around, and come back out. So that's where the dumpster enclosure is accessed by the back, so they can dump in and don't have to open the gate. There's a separate man door there.
Are you expanding the dumpster area that's presently there?
No, I mean, currently they are doing it a little differently. They have their own shoot area. This, we're creating a dumpster for this building.
Oh, okay. So it's not a combined one with the existing building?
It can still service this building if necessary, but it's
Okay.
one. Okay. Looking at the building, on the first level, we have vestibule entrance in the center, coming down to the center corridor, elevator for access to the other floors, and then you have 5 apartments on this floor. 2 of them are bedrooms, 3 of them plus office. Everyone in the corner, you'll see is 1 bedroom plus office. Then you have storage, tenant storage, electrical, sprinkler room. And exit from one of the stair towers out to the side parking lot, and then a stair tower upstairs to get out on the next floor. So from the side parking lot, you have a sidewalk that brings you into this vestibule on the second floor, corridor, and then you have 7 units on this floor. We have 3 1-bedrooms, and then 3 bedrooms plus office, and then 1 2-bedroom in this corner. Third and fourth are identical. Coming up the elevator, we have 8 units on this floor. There are 4 1-bedrooms and 4 1-bedrooms plus office. The size of the units in the building, there are a number of units. There are 13 1-bedroom units, 14 1-bedroom plus office units, and 1 2-bedroom plus office unit. 1-bedrooms range between 640 and 758 square feet. The 1-bedroom plus office is 833 square feet, and the 2-bedroom plus office is 1,100 square feet. Each of those units has a deck and a mechanical unit off their deck.
Mr. Rose, I don't know if you can answer this or if it would be the applicant, but we have had several applications that have come in where we have the 1-bedroom plus or the 2-bedroom plus, and that's a concern as to it turning into a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. So, what's the size of those little plus areas?
The rooms themselves,
Talk about the office.
Yeah, what's designated as the office?
10 by 12.
Okay.
No closet.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And in the world we're living in, normal, which is becoming, is that home offices are becoming very important.
Right. No, I think it's a very good proposition for you to include that. It's just sometimes people do take advantage. So, yeah.
And I mean, the idea is that it has, a pair of French doors, it's open to the space, it's not, not a bedroom that's got a closed door.
Oh, okay. Do me a favor, before you go on, just go back to the first floor. What's that breakdown as to how many 1-bedrooms? I know you said I have them for the second, third, and fourth floors.
Oh, for each floor itself?
No, just the first floor.
The first floor, there are 2 1-bedroom units and 3 1-bedroom plus office.
Okay, thank you.
Just to show you the elevations of the
building. What we have is the four-story building. On the lower sections of that, we have some stone, and then above that, we have vinyl siding, and then big on the top, gable, railing, with decks, so I got railing. Railing that we're using, the deck. And then we're using, simulated wood frame. AZAC.
Do you have any other elevations?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. And then this is the elevation facing Howe Avenue. The other elevation side is the back facing Sonic. This is facing Howe. There's some on the bottom, and then siding and shakes above. I just refer you to this is essentially that we're building. 309 Bridgeport Avenue, which was completed. This is a three-story portion, which would be what you see from Howe Avenue. Entrance here, so it's a side exit. So we're looking at to recreate it. We're very satisfied with our.
And which side of that is the side facing Howe Avenue?
This would be the side facing Howe Avenue.
Okay. But you're not, that stone wall's not gonna be there.
That's stone wall,
No.
not to be, obviously, it's a different grading, obviously, but
Mhm.
3 stories is the 3-story facing Howe Avenue.
Okay. Commissioner Kelly had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I'll ask everyone this question as we go forward. Are you going to have any charging stations outside? Consider that one. Nothing for one to add. Well, otherwise they're going to run extension cords out. You know that. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Blakeman, come on up to the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Jim Blakeman, I'm the applicant.
Your address?
I live at 96 Bighorn Road, Shelton.
Okay, and the question from Commissioner Kelly was, were there gonna be any car charging stations?
It's a good point we brought up. I haven't thought of it, but we're open to it. And just, I'm not quite sure how many we'd actually need, 1 or 2 maybe.
Actually, I would think as many as handicap spaces you have.
Okay, is that where you typically would put them?
I would think so. I mean, as time goes by, there are going to be more and more electric cars.
I agree. Good point you brought up. Of course, we can have those.
Yeah, I don't think, Commissioner Kelly meant that you put them where the handicap places are, but as many handicap spaces as you have.
Yeah.
I got you. Wherever we all decide to put it, we can put it. We're open to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me,
I'm done here.
okay, Mr. Rosenstown, Commissioner Mata, did you have a question then?
Yeah. I remember with the first building there, there's a big cliff out the back. I think the parking lot was built beyond the cliff and somehow reinforced. Is that gonna be the same thing here, and what are the safety, features for that drop-off?
Commissioner Amato,
Yeah.
can you hear us?
Mr. Swift, are you on the phone, on the line here?
What we're doing is, what we have is.
Yeah, this is Jim. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Yeah, the back of the property on this particular piece is much flatter than it was in phase 1. So there is no large retaining wall out directly off the back of this parcel. But there is a substantial retaining wall to the right on this particular phase. So there is a steep drop retaining wall. It's just not in the back, it's to the right. But they'll be handled in the same way with the same protective measures.
And any fencing on the top side of it?
Mr. Swift, did you hear that? Is there any fencing on top of the retaining wall?
Yeah, that as a matter of fact is one of Remus's comments. What I've done is I've got a guide rail at the top of the retaining wall, plus some landscaping there, some shrubbery for people to keep from walking off. But I think Remus is right. We should add the 4-foot high black vinyl chain link fence on top of the wall as well.
Okay, thank you.
And, the other question was, how many parking spaces do you have for those 14 units since you're merging it? So I just want to get the overall parking picture.
There are about 30 spaces for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
For the 14
Well,
units.
actually,
Yeah, so that's good. Okay, yeah. I've never seen anybody parking out on the street there.
Okay. All right, let me ask if any commissioners participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns.
I have one more. Washers and dryers.
Okay, Commissioner Amato had a question for those commissioners.
Each unit side by side,
Each unit.
not stacked,
Each unit has its own.
Okay.
no stacks.
Okay. All right, so any commissioners participating remotely?
Chairwoman, Commissioner Parkin?
Go right ahead.
So there was some paper rustling going on when they were talking about the trash receptacle and back in the back. Did I understand them to say it was not a shared trash between the two buildings? Or it is?
No, I think that, Commissioner Park, I believe, what was said was in the existing apartments, there's a trash compactor, and that they will be adding a dumpster for the use of both the existing and the proposed apartments.
Okay, so there's no trash compactor in this proposed apartment complex?
That is correct.
All right,
The
well,
dumpster-
hopefully there'll be rules put in place where people don't leave their trash outside their door, because that's very common in buildings where you have to bring your trash to a dumpster. My next question was there any impact to wetlands or buffer area that you had to go before the inland wetlands? I know that there's a ravine there where they're putting in the retaining.
This is,
Go ahead, Jim.
I'm sorry,
No,
Steve.
finish.
This is Jim Swift again. Yeah, a wetlands application was required because we did have a discharge to a water course and we did have some activity in the upland review area, but we successfully presented that to the Wetlands Commission and received our permit.
Okay. The next question I have is I am very familiar with this property. I actually lived in that house on the first floor for 6 years. So I'm very, very familiar with the property, the drop off in the back. I do share a little concern with Commissioner Amato. I think there needs to be some sort of protection if people were to, say an elderly person were to hit gas instead of the brake, or just to go forward on that property. We'd hate to see them go down that bank to the river. It's a pretty steep drop back there. My other question is on the, well, I understand that the Mr. Totora prefers no chain link. I will say that entrance there is on a very fast driving curve. I actually had one person land on my front stoop with an overturned car coming around that bend so fast. I would hold my breath pulling out and pulling in there. So I would definitely give some consideration to not only putting in a chain, but some sort of gate, mechanical gate where they could have a remote control to open it, because I think that's going to present quite a dangerous situation for the folks that live there. And that's about all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins. Any other commissioners participating remotely? Commissioner Wodanski, Commissioner Usel?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Usel. I do have one question regarding this proposal. Does this proposal have any affordable housing?
The answer to that is that there are two units that are one-bedroom units on the, I believe it's the first floor, that Mr. Blakeman has set aside for and lowered the rent from what the other units are that it's rented for. So
Can't do that.
it's not an affordable complex. They're not being designated as affordable. You can rent them for anything you want.
Yeah, they're just not affordable.
It's not affordable.
Okay.
So the answer to your question, as Alex points out, is they're not considered affordable because you can't do that, but there are two units set aside that have a lesser and more affordable rate for people that live in the community, police officers, whoever, that are looking for affordable, not the, I'll say it in quotes, units.
Less expensive.
There you go. That makes more sense. So
That
there's
will
two
not
less
count toward,
expensive.
that won't count
It
toward
does
the
not
city.
count. No, it does not. That's correct, Commissioner Park.
Yeah, Mr. Rossetti brought that up just a second ago.
Yep.
Okay. Any other commissioners participating remotely? Have any questions?
Commissioner Wodomski.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wodomski. Go ahead.
I have two things. First, Commissioner Parkins is 100% correct on that gate. We need to do something better than the chain. I'd like to see, as part of the approval, that a remote control gate, like they did over on Bridgeport Ave, where Phillips Medical was, a remote control gate with some type of battery backup, whether it be solar or a battery that can be charged electrically wired out there, so we can have emergency services get in and out of that gate if we need to. Second, I'd also like to see if we can get something in there, since we seem to be putting a lot more residential along River Road, and we do have, or Howe Avenue, and we do have Indian Wells just up the street. I'd like to see a area set back for a sidewalk along Howe Avenue, and in the approval requirements that when the time is right, the property owner is required to put in a sidewalk to connect to any abutting sidewalks that are being put in.
I understand both your comments. I don't believe there's any sidewalk currently adjacent to this property at this time.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Ginny, I didn't hear what he said.
I said I do not believe that there currently is any sidewalks adjacent to this property at this time.
No, I understand that. What I would like to see is something in the approval saying that if a sidewalk is put in on the adjacent properties, that you have the room on that piece of property to put one in to connect, and that the process be there, so when it does come through, we have the room, and you have to put the property owner at that time, whether it be you or somebody else, has to put it in.
Understood. Yeah, the answer is we do have the room, and we understand the condition.
One of the things that I used to discuss with our former administrator was the fact that there are a lot of residential streets in Shelton without sidewalks,
Yes.
specifically in the neighborhood I live in, and his comment was always, and it's always difficult to have the property owner maintain them. So that's the thing that we do have to keep in mind. When you add a sidewalk, you're adding something else for the property manager to have to take care of. And it was surprising that a couple of years ago, a section of a sidewalk had to be replaced a couple streets over. The homeowner, it was their dime. They had to spend the money to do that. It wasn't the city. They had to do it, and they chose to do it not with poured concrete, but with blacktop. And it's not at all like the rest of the street, and it looks horrible.
Right.
But apparently, they couldn't do anything about it. So it just, yeah, I would love to have the walkability score for the city of Shelton to be much higher, but sometimes it's just not possible, and there are things that come along with it that don't always work out. So
This is not a practice.
Commissioner Wodomski?
Go ahead, Commissioner Radomski, you go ahead, and then I think Commissioner Parkins, had a comment as well.
Ginny, that would be no different than putting a sidewalk in downtown Shelton or along Bridgeport Avenue. I mean, it's the same thing as Bob Cinto putting in the sidewalks along his property on Commerce Drive and Progress Drive and Research Drive. It's the property owners, it's part of the, part of the deal. I mean, it is what it is. Along Huntington Street, we did a sidewalk. Some of those neighbors didn't want them there, and they still got them, and they still have to maintain them. That's something that we should be doing in the future. We should have been doing it right along. It's a life safety issue, and I think we should be doing it.
Well, certainly, I think you could also stipulate the material, or that it would not be asphalt, which is, as part of the conditions.
Yeah, I agree, Commissioner Amato. Listen, the owner wants to have the value be high on his property, and I agree. I don't think asphalt would be the right use.
Yeah.
It would be concrete. And secondly, the commissioner, the other commissioner's comments, this special exception, as you know, is recorded on the land records, and it runs with the land. So you would have something on the land records in perpetuity to show what conditions you have placed, if any, on this property. So I think that gets around the problem of, I don't think the owner can walk away years down the road if another sidewalk is, adjacent to his property.
Yep, that would be great. No, I like to see sidewalks all the time, but, you do have to keep in mind the whole picture, and that's what I was just trying to say. So, Commissioner Parkins, did you want, to add a comment?
Just my opinion that this is not a safe location for a sidewalk, so it's just not practical. The guardrails on the right-hand side of the, property are right up on the road with maybe 2 feet of, shoulder, so it's just not a practical location for sidewalks. My opinion.
Very good. That's fine. That's what we what we ask for is everyone's opinion. So, okay. All right, does the applicant have any other comments?
No, I just will point out, and I'm sure Tony Panico will as well, if this application were to be approved, your regulations require that you make a finding that it's in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the regulations, and as I said before, the special exception is recorded.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Panico, I was just going to call for you. Go right ahead.
I'm not prepared to really give you physical comments about the layout or whatever, but I did notice that Attorney Bellis's presentation early on, he implied that the site is eligible for a higher density than what they're requiring. In actuality, what I'm looking for, and I could not find it in the drawing or anywhere else, was the physical analysis of the existing topography to determine the eligible amount of buildable lot area to confirm the density. I believe it is there. I did a very rough calculation months back when we had this problem originate. But I think we need to have Jim put together a topographic analysis of the site to confirm that we have sufficient buildable area. It's spelled out. It's spelled out in the. I believe it's in the definition section.
Yeah, he did include. I don't know what you have in front of you, Mr. Panico. He did include a little. I'll call it on the site plan, a box where he has the area. But,
What page are you referring to?
I'm referring to the site plan.
I saw that, but I did not see any calculation of buildable area.
I certainly, I can get that to Alex.
Okay, the applicant, his engineer can, come up with that and submit it for staff review?
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Panico, anything else?
No, I will start looking at the physical layout. We've been through it once before, so I don't anticipate anything major, but we will have a look at it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right, is that it, Attorney Bellis?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just ask, are there any members of the public that would wish to comment on this particular application? Are there any members of the public present in the auditorium that would like to comment on this particular application? And final call for any members of the public present in the auditorium to comment on this application. Okay, so, do any commissioners feel, beside the calculation that would be submitted to staff, whether or not, there's any further information required from the applicant? Well, that's the whole question,
I'm satisfied.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Commissioner Kelly, you're satisfied with what, everything?
Right.
Commissioners, Parkins and Wodanski and Newsell, do you feel any further information is required from the applicant?
I would like to see something to protect people from driving off the cliff. So I don't know that we need to keep the hearing open for it, but I would be uncomfortable approving this without knowing what their plan would be. So.
Well, you're not, I don't believe the commission is being asked to act on it tonight.
No, I just,
Yeah.
no, I like that.
And as we have done before, we often make suggestions and the commission either agrees or disagrees and makes it a condition of their action.
Right.
Okay. All right, so, the applicant should be, ready to submit that kind of information?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other, comments from commissioners participating remotely?
Everybody okay with the affordable use?
Say it again?
Are you guys comfortable with units, or do you want, I think that's
There is, a question, going back to, the question from Commissioner Usel, are there any affordable units? And we do understand that there are 2 units with a reduced rental rate, but, is the applicant interested in setting aside specifically units for, that would qualify under affordable housing?
Yeah, in this particular case, I think he would, respectfully, because of the number of units, that the total number of units being 28, the cost of doing this building and when it comes out per unit, would make it difficult to include, true affordable, units. And, I think the reason he makes the less expensive ones is to help accommodate the people in town that need a little help.
Right.
I'm not, if you're making, are you building them cheaper in some way so that they wouldn't go?
No, absolutely not. Oh, absolutely not.
Then why would two less expensive units be a
He lives in town, and what would be the difference between affordable housing pricing?
I never was able to get my hands on workforce regulation.
Well, Mr. Rossetti has the worksheet.
Yeah, I've asked for it, I just don't have it.
I think there's,
I don't know what the rates are.
I don't think they're that low.
it's not that low. Alex could run you up.
I don't want to take
Alex
the
knows a lot about
commission's
it.
time, if I could speak with staff,
Yeah.
that was my problem, I don't know what they are.
There's an administrative burden with it, but are we up with that, Alex? No?
Then we'd be responsible for tracking the rest of the affordable units in the city, and that would be a full-time position that
Okay.
we're not going to be.
Okay. So there is some burden in that way, but I don't think financially it would be any more burden than what you're talking about.
I just don't know.
The biggest restrictions for affordable units are having the unit deed restricted for 40 years and meeting the income criteria that the state sets of the area median income. There are different brackets that you can qualify for each unit. You can find all that information on Department of Urban Housing and the state's website. It's all there.
I don't know how that differs with workforce.
So workforce is just a made-up term that attorneys use. It's affordable housing.
Oh, I've never made up that term before, I'm sorry.
Workforce is just,
Or sellable.
Yeah, it's more sexy, I guess. Affordable housing is just restricting the rent to a certain cap based off of
I understand the
income.
state term. I thought it was another category.
Under any type of affordable housing, you may, under the legal term of affordable housing, you may set priority for civil servants or civil workers. That's something that you may do. However, if there are no interested parties that qualify for those units, then it falls to the next person. And just to clarify a question that Commissioner Amato had about the quality of the units, as Mr. Blakeman and the applicant has indicated that they do not plan on altering the quality of these units. But just to clarify, affordable units, they rotate. So it's not possible to have a lesser quality of unit under the affordable housing guidelines. Under this proposal, not that the applicant would, but it would be technically possible if you wanted to build those units to a lesser quality and rent them out. Again, he indicated that's not the plan, and I doubt he would, but I'm just trying to put that indication.
The rotation that Mr. Rossetti is talking about is that we, in our affordable housing seminar that we had last year, it was clearly explained that if somebody goes over the threshold for some reason because of a job change or a salary increase, and they are above the limits and they do not qualify for an affordable housing rental rate, that unit is no longer considered affordable housing, and if somebody else moves out of a unit, becomes available, then that particular unit then may change into an affordable housing one. And that's the whole thing about the administration of this. This is something that is time-consuming for the landlord.
Yes.
So we understand that for sure. But while we would love to see apartment complexes that are proposed to have the availability for affordable housing, and we understand that.
Yes, I get it.
What happens. So, okay.
And there would be,
Chairwoman?
like, you could have one, you could have any number, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we were looking for. Is that what's required?
It's not required yet. There is a law that was passed by the state. We are going to have an affordable housing plan coming before the commission pretty soon that we're working on. So is it required? Yes, no. Will it be? Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Parkins, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I mean, to this conversation, that, the term workforce replaced affordable housing to eliminate the negative connotation. Affordable housing is not a negative. It's, just like they said, allowing nurses, policemen, people that aren't making, $200,000 a year to have an opportunity for affordable housing. And the only way this city is going to meet its affordable housing to not put us into the 830G category is to require apartment buildings to have a component of affordable housing. So we're not going to get there unless we institute that. Just, again, my opinion.
It's a very good read on the situation, Commissioner Parkins. Okay. So, anything else from the applicant?
No, the only thing I would say is seeing what this building would look like. I think I can tell you that you're invited to look at the one on Bridgeport Avenue that we built. It's got a CO, and it's fully leased. I think it was fully leased in less than a month. And you will see the same type quality work, the architecture and the facade, so you'll have a good idea. So that invitation is open to any of you who want to come see it. So you'll have sometimes a first-hand look if that's what you feel comfortable with. Again, I know it's not required under the special exception rules, but I just open that invitation to all of you.
Yeah, I will ask staff to set that up. I'll work with the applicant, come up with a date and time.
The same developer, so it's not like we're intruding on someone else's property.
Yeah, and once we have a date and time, staff can communicate that to the commission, and those who are available can do so.
Okay.
So
anyway, thank you all for hearing me, and I have nothing else.
Okay, if no one else has any comments, questions, or concerns? Is there a motion to continue or close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
Can we close it, or do we have to carry it over for our rules?
The discussion.
Madam Chairman?
Go ahead.
I would,
Go ahead.
I believe I overheard you anticipating a possible discussion of affordable housing with the applicant prior to you making a decision? Because if so, then of necessity, you're going to have to keep the public hearing open.
Exactly.
Otherwise the commissioners are not going to be able to participate in the discussion. They will certainly have the action to take, but not in the discussion. Because once you close the public hearing, as you know, there can be no more contact with the applicant until after a decision is rendered.
That's understood, Mr. Panico. Commissioner Kelly on that?
I rescind it.
Okay, so do you want to amend your,
Yep.
there was not a second yet.
Yeah.
So do you want to amend?
Keep it open.
We're gonna, you're amending your motion to change it to continue the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so Commissioner Kelly has amended his motion to continue the public hearing. Is there a second on that motion?
This is Commissioner Usal. I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Panico, do we have to, vote on the, change in the, motion?
No, there was no vote on, in fact, was the motion ever seconded? I don't recall
Right, no.
it being seconded. So,
okay,
so
good.
certainly Commissioner
Very
Kelly
good.
has the right to reframe his motion.
Very good. That's what I was hoping. All right, so I'm going to do roll call vote on the motion from Commissioner Kelly to continue the public hearing, which was seconded by Commissioner Usal. Commissioner Motto?
Aye.
Commissioner Wodomski?
Aye.
Commissioner Usal?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So the motion to continue the public hearing on application 20-27 has passed 6-0. So staff will schedule a continuation of the public hearing on the agenda of a future meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda is other business. First item is comments from the chair, and there I have nothing at this particular time. Is there, Commissioner Motto, any comments from the zoning subcommittee? Commissioner Kelly, any comments from the downtown subcommittee?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, Mr. Rossetti, have any comments from staff?
The only comment I'll make is, I already kind of spilled the basket. We are working on developing some affordable housing plans and guidelines for this commission to review. We're a little behind, but hoping to catch up. And I look forward to getting that in front of you in the coming months.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly going to be a controversial topic, but something that, you know, definitely needs to be addressed as we just saw. And in case any of you guys reached out or had constituents to reach out, the office is semi-closed yesterday, and we've had some issues with COVID. However, we're open and fully licensed.
Thank you. Yeah, the material that Mr. Rossetti referred to, proposal was issued by the Naugatuck Valley COG. There's a whole pamphlet that we can supply ahead of time if anyone's interested in reading about it ahead of time, but there is a new statute that we have to pursue. Okay, so Mr. Panico, you have any comments?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, just notations that the January 12th and 20th minutes will be on the city's website for review, and at the time that you look, you may also see ones for today. but, that, we have another week to get, for Sarah to get those, ready for us. Finally is, approval of the December 8th, 2020 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments or changes to the minutes that were posted? Okay. Any remote commissioners have any comments or changes to the minutes?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins.
No changes.
Okay, hearing.
Commissioner Usell.
Thank you, Sal. All right. Commissioner Radomski?
I haven't had a chance to read them, so I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Okay. All right, so, is there a motion to approve the December 8th minutes? Motion to approve from Commissioner Amato. Is there a second?
I will second, Commissioner Parkins.
Commissioner Parkins is seconding the motion to approve. Do a roll call. Commissioner Wodomski, you were abstaining, you said?
Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not sure. I'm going to have a chance.
Okay. And Commissioner Usell?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato? Aye. Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So, the motion to approve is 5-0 and 1 abstention. Okay, that's, the final item on our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Amato. On roll call, Commissioner Parkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski.
Aye.
Commissioner Usell.
Aye.
Amato. Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion is to adjourn is passed 6-0. Meeting is adjourned as of 6:24. Thank you, everyone.